Being a teenager can be tough, but it can also be a great time in your life as you are experiencing new things, meeting new people, and working to become an adult. This presentation today focuses on skills to help deal with things you or someone you care about may be experiencing. We do have skills to keep ourselves and others healthy and safe. You already possess many of these. Here are just a few things. Recognize warning signs that your safety or the safety of a friend may be at risk. Knowing when to share your concerns with a parent or a trusted adult. Reaching out to a counselor, medical professional, or other professional for advice. Choosing healthy ways to take care of yourself. Good eating habits, exercising, calming strategies, good sleeping habits, etc. And it's always important to work on choosing healthy relationships. Here are just some ways to keep ourselves physically and emotionally safe. Maintain or start good eating habits. Daily exercise or physical activities. There's many things that you can do to get physical exercise. Organize sports, walking with a friend, or just working around the house, cleaning up your room. That's a physical activity. You can practice calming strategies. You can take some breathing exercises, mindfulness, taking a break, getting a glass of water, anything that works for you to calm you down. And that's different for every person. And whatever works for you is what you should do. And good sleeping habits are so important. Teenagers need 8 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Make sure that you have a routine and find a way to get a good night's sleep every night. And then, of course, again, make sure that you're choosing healthy relationships. And Dr. Huber is going to talk a little bit later on about the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships. Now, here are just a few ways that you can reduce stress. And again, everybody has their own method to do this. And whatever works for you, work at that and keep doing it. Everything in life is a balance. Make sure that you keep everything to a certain degree in your life. Work, play, sleep. Don't overdo any of those or don't underdo any of them. They're all important. Don't commit yourself to so many different things. Having a busy schedule can just make you feel even more stressed. It's okay to have downtime. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a day off or work some downtime into your normal day. We all need a little break when we're dealing with so many things, especially in this day and time. A routine and a schedule are very important too. They can reduce your stress. If you plan out your day, that can take away some of the uncertainty that you're going to face during the day and can help you get through your task better. We've talked about sleep before. Getting good rest and good sleep is important. And focus on little things in your life that bring you joy or that you can celebrate. We don't have to wait till the end of the quarter or end of the school year or even the end of the week to celebrate something you've done. You might just celebrate the fact that you got a good night's sleep, or that you took a nap when you got tired, or that you kept a schedule, or that you talked to a friend and helped them out. To celebrate small things that you're able to do. Another way to help yourself is by helping others. If you help other people, that makes you feel good about you because you've taken your time away from maybe some of your worries and concerns and put that energy toward helping people who might have it a little worse off than you do. And that can be a very rewarding way to reduce stress. And of course, there are many more ways to do that. And as mentioned before, do what works for you. Some of the examples on the next two slides could be normal because a teenager brings about lots of changes in our bodies and in our emotions. However, if you or someone you care about experience any of these things and it starts to negatively affect your daily functioning and it has lasted more than a couple of weeks, then seeking help from a parent or a trusted adult is recommended. If you're feeling any of the things listed here, or maybe there's something else that's not listed here, and it does go on for more than just a day or two, then you really need to seek out help from a trusted adult or a parent, whoever that is in your life. And again, here are some more things that you need to be aware of. If you're feeling some of these things that are listed here, then it's really important that you let somebody know. I think it's very important that everyone, regardless of your age, but especially when you're a teenager, is that you have a trusted adult in your life that you can go to and talk to about things when you're feeling this way or feeling a little down. It's very important that you think about that as we're talking today, and think about who is your trusted adult that you could go to and talk about how you are feeling. And again, if you answer yes to any of the questions on the previous slides and it's affecting your everyday life, you've already done the first step. You've recognized some of the warning signs that you may be experiencing for emotional safety. Or it could be somebody else you're concerned about. It could be a friend that you've seen them experience these things and you're concerned about them. And this is why, again, it's very important to share your concerns with a parent or a trusted adult. Now, Dr. Huber is going to talk at first about the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships.
Thank you, Mr. Green. The next few slides will address the ways to make healthier lifestyle choices so that we can try and keep ourselves and our loved ones emotionally and physically safe. When we're looking for a relationship, we all don't want someone who's going to fool us or trick us into doing something that just doesn't feel right, or tries to take advantage of us or mislead us or abuse us. We're not looking for someone that's going to harm us, but sometimes we are in a relationship that starts out okay or seemingly okay, and some of this stuff starts to creep in. So it might not seem so obvious, and sometimes people get deeply involved in a relationship and they might feel like they're stuck. Well, the important thing to know is you're not stuck. No matter what, you're not stuck. There are options for you. When we try to form healthy relationships from the get-go, that helps protect us. It reduces our risk of being vulnerable, deceived, or exploited. Sometimes when somebody is looking to manipulate somebody, or not even consciously doing so, they just have some control issues here. They're looking for someone that has some vulnerability, trying to get that place where they can find somebody who is defenseless. It doesn't have to be somebody's general personality, but maybe they know, hey, this person's having difficulty at home, so that makes them more vulnerable. So they try to find some of those key points there. It protects us. Healthy relationships protects us from being deceived. This is not a perfect world, obviously. Sometimes we have deception, even times when we're with somebody that might be seemingly healthy. But if someone is deceiving us, then they're not healthy. They might not have taken it out on us in certain ways, but it's not a sign of a healthy person if they're trying to deceive you or accept what they believe is reality, but it's really not reality. It's trying to fool you. Or maybe they're trying to exploit you. That's being used, taken advantage of, manipulating you, abusing you, blackmailing you. Sometimes you might get in a situation where you need some help with something, and that person makes us, okay, well, you need to do something for me. It shouldn't be that. If someone wants to help you, that should just be a genuine, I'm doing this because I am your friend and I want to help you, not because I'm looking to gain something out of this. So finding somebody that has that balance, those are all signs of really unhealthy people that are trying to set somebody up for being used or exploited. The thing that fuels unhealthy relationships are things like disrespect and control. The other person tends to try to control the other person. It's important to recognize these warning signs and acknowledge that they exist. Sometimes when we're experiencing these things, it's hard to come to terms that this is happening to me. I'm experiencing this right now. It's often difficult to acknowledge that. Many abusive relationships, they in the beginning might seem like they're perfect, quote unquote. But then some of those behaviors start to creep in. Somebody being possessive, someone being controlling. Sometimes we make excuses for that person. Well, you should see them when they're acting this way with their family. Sometimes we say, hey, they don't usually treat me this way. We make exceptions for that person because we're trying to rationalize it. We're trying to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going through this. Or really, as a whole, this is okay, when it's really not okay. Abuse doesn't need to be physical. It can also be emotional, verbal, sexual, financial, or digital. So if somebody is calling you names, if someone is treating you poorly, if someone is making you do things that you're not comfortable doing, those are all forms of abuse as well. So look at all the different phases of abuse. All right, so I mentioned the calling somebody names, insulting them, criticizing them. Those are forms of that verbal abuse that can also leak into emotional abuse, psychological abuse as well. Someone trying to isolate somebody from their family or friends. Maybe they're spending less and less time away from their family or friends. That's that method of control there that you're starting to see, control of the environment. Keep them away from people that are maybe trying to help them, people that might say, hey, you know what, something's really not right here. And so the more you isolate a person, the less likely they are to leave and the less likely they are to get help too, because they don't have that outlet and they don't have that person to bounce back off of them saying, hey, you know what, this isn't right. Might be sending negative, insulting, or threatening messages online, through text, through Snap, any of those ways. That's still abuse just because it's not to your face, or in a DM. All those things can be considered abusive. Somebody telling you who you can and cannot be friends with. That's that method of control there, and controlling who you chat and what you post on social media. So telling you what you can and can't post, monitoring your social media in that kind of way, that leaks into that form of control there that we're trying to see as an unhealthy relationship. Forcing you to do things that you don't want to do. So anytime someone tries to make you do something that you don't want to do, and this is not like cleaning your room kind of thing, these are more things that are putting you at risk, safety issues, things like that. Those are all considered forms of abuse. All right, in an unhealthy relationship, sometimes the other person won't accept them breaking up with them. So they might not want the relationship to end. They say, you can't break up with me. Yeah, breakups hurt, and we know that's hard. We don't want people to break up with us. I get it. But sometimes relationships end, and sometimes there's red flags. Sometimes things didn't work out. That's okay. The person that you're dating doesn't have to be the one. Sometimes we figure out that they're not the one. But you can't force somebody to be with you. You can't force somebody to love you. So sometimes it just wasn't a match. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that person. Sometimes it just didn't work out. But if somebody's trying to manipulate you to stay with you, then that's a warning sign there. They might resort to even insulting you to say, hey, you can't do better. You're lucky you have me. You won't get anybody else. Those are all ways that someone's trying to manipulate you, playing games with you to try to convince you to stay. Those aren't good. When you hear that, you know what, you deserve better than that. And if you want to end the relationship, that's your right to do so. Somebody that aggressively tells you how to dress or wear your hair. And this isn't, hey, we're having this nice get together at my church, my temple, some different environment where it's more formal. It's more just, this is how you're going to dress, this is how you're going to wear your hair, and it controls that aspect. You're seeing that control mechanism play. Someone that makes threats to you, yeah, there's not a line there. That's not okay. If someone threatens you, they've crossed that line. And sometimes I have students that say, hey, we were just joking, playing around. Sometimes people are serious, but they say they're joking to try to cover their tracks on that. So this is not something to joke about. Somebody being threatened, that's not funny. It's not okay. It's important to take that seriously, and you deserve to have peace in your relationship and not have to worry about it. Someone that doesn't allow you to make decisions, you don't need to have somebody's permission to make decisions. You should be able to be free in making healthy choices. Now, if they want to talk to you about about choices that you're making in your life that might be leading you down a wrong path. Okay, fine. But this is the word allow there. It's that permission there. That's that control aspect. Showing extreme jealousy or possessiveness. Oftentimes when it comes to jealousy, sometimes it's not based in reality. It might even be based upon a past relationship where we were hurt, and we might have some trust issues that we're bringing forth from that past relationship. Okay, so is it fair to put that on a new person? Because oftentimes when you're bringing up that past stuff in a past relationship and putting it in the present, you're going to sabotage that relationship. It's really important that we live in the present, that we judge things based upon what we're experiencing right now. Does that person give you a reason to believe that you can't trust them? Or are we basing it upon a fear of what happened in the past or what may happen in the future, these what-if situations, and it's really not based on what's going on right now. So if you do find yourself experiencing that, take a step back and try to think about where that might be coming from. Because a healthy relationship is that balance, is that communication, able to talk about things, and that you should be able to trust that person. All right, so what about healthy relationships? The key here is respect. The RESPCT, number one thing that you need to have in a relationship is that respect for each other. It's that balance, that give and take. Sometimes you might disagree with things. That's okay. You're both individuals, so you're going to have differing opinions sometimes. But a healthy relationship, you're able to talk about that. These are some characteristics that should be expected. These are not earned. These are your rights to have in a relationship. This is what you deserve to have. You should be able to enjoy things. If you enjoy different activities than your partner does, okay, that's fine. Maybe you have some time that you're set with your friends that enjoy those things. Maybe it's other times when you are with your partner about things that you enjoy together. So you should be able to enjoy the things that you normally enjoy. Hanging out together or with trusted individuals, that's something that should just be a normal part of your relationship, that you should be able to hang out together, and you should also have other people in your life that are still there. It's that isolation that we're worried about. Making decisions together. Now, this doesn't mean every single decision you need to make needs to be together, but you should be able to talk about anything, really, and have that decision-making process be something that's open. It's open for discussion. It's something that you can agree to disagree if you need to. Feeling safe to share your thoughts or feelings. When you see that fear creeping in, that's when we start to go, okay, something is wrong here when I'm afraid to speak up, when I'm afraid to express how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking, or my opinion. Oh, this person's going to get mad at me if I say this or how I'm feeling about this. That's a red flag there to look out for. Being treated with respect and kindness. This is what you should have in your life and you deserve to have. And so if you're not having that, that's a time to step back and say, you know what, this is something that I should have, and I don't need to ask for it. It's something that we all need to have in our lives. All right, some more characteristics. Understanding. I touched up on this a little bit on the last slide, but taking that time that listen to each other. The best gift you can give anybody is to listen to them. Having somebody feel heard really is a key part of a healthy relationship. Not just in dating relationships, romantic relationships, but just in general. Taking that time to understand where the other person's coming from is important. Self-confidence. When people have self-confidence in themselves, it can really help their relationship with others and with themselves as well. This way you feel confident to express how you're feeling about things, and you can express how you're feeling, and that can be different than how someone else is feeling, but you're doing it in a way where you're not forcing your opinions on somebody. You're doing it in a way where you want to share and say, hey, you know what, might be different, but these are just our different ways of looking at things. Individuality. Sometimes people get in a relationship and they disappear from all of their other activities and their friends. They just become consumed in that relationship. You shouldn't have to compromise who you are, your identity, everything else. You should also still have your friends. You should still have the things that you like to do. Finding that balance there, because you still are your own person at the end of the day as well. So engaging in things that are healthy activities, spending time with your friends, that should all still be there. So if someone's pulling that away from you, then it's like, why are they doing that? What's the reason behind that? Is that a control issue? It could be. All right, trust. Trust is a biggie, and sometimes I know our trust gets damaged if we were in a prior relationship with somebody that betrayed us, that cheated on us, or that said things to us that were hurtful. And so we might enter into a future relationship already with some of those issues. If that's happened to you, know that ahead of time and think about, is this something that is happening in my current relationship, or am I basing this upon the past and I'm bringing that into the current relationship? Because if you're already bringing into these trust issues before the relationship's even started, you're going to sabotage that, giving that a chance. But maybe having that conversation. We talked about having that good communication, that understanding with each other, that you should be able to talk about that. So hey, that should be something to say, I've got some issues from a past relationship that I have dealt with, but maybe not totally. Some things to look out for, so that way you can keep the conversation going. So that way you're not setting somebody up and questioning what they do or what they say, not based upon really what's happening, but based upon things that you're afraid of or fears. We often let our fears talk for us, and sometimes that's not really what's going on, and we have a hard time paying attention to the present. We're just worried about what might happen in the past or what might happen in the future, those what-if situations. But take that some time to pull back and think about where you're at in the present, and is this somebody that I trust and that I'm comfortable with? And okay, go from there. Honesty, that's really the cornerstone of a relationship. Building that trust, that's what strengthens the relationship. So if you're dishonest from the get-go, then that's not going to be good. You know that. Compromise, mentioned this before too. So there's going to be times when you have different points of view. So be willing to give and take in a relationship. And again, good communication. I've talked to you about that numerous times as well too. And that can be hard. Sometimes we go, oh, this is easy formula. I just open and talk about my feelings and boom, boom, boom. But we can feel vulnerable sometimes when we're expressing something that might be scary, might be something that you don't want the other person to know, or just because you're not used to talking about your feelings. Those are all okay. It's okay to just kind of take you where you're at and go from there, and recognize that those are things that maybe the other person can support you with. But it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to say, hey, what, I need some more time on that. Take it one step at a time. There's no rush on this. Okay, so sometimes we get into a situation where we might be put into an unsafe situation, whether we're with that person alone, no one knows where we're at. Maybe there's some other things going on where you're at that are putting you at risk. So really try to avoid settings where the unhealthy behavior is more likely to occur. So plan ahead for that. Think about, it's going to be a situation where I am stuck. Make sure that someone else knows where you are. You need to have that out. So if you're going somewhere, whether it's meeting someone for the first time or whether it's even just someone that you've known for a while, someone else needs to know where you're at. Avoid settings where the responsible adults are not present. Again, this gets into a safety issue too. So putting yourself in a situation where you've got somebody that will have your back. If there's something that you are not comfortable doing, saying no to that, and firmly saying no to that. That's your right to say no. Make eye contact when you're stating that, whether it's saying no or just stating how you feel about someone, so that they know that you're confident in your convictions and your feelings. Avoid being alone with people you don't know or trust. You never know who you're going to meet, and sometimes you get put in those situations where you might end up being stuck with someone you don't know. So try to plan ahead on that. Have your friends. If your friend is leaving, you're at a social situation and your friend is leaving, go with your friend. Don't stick around if there's no one else that you know there. And again, when it comes to substances, that often impairs our judgment as well. So not using drugs or alcohol, that can help us make healthy and safe choices. All right, I've talked a lot about social situations, but right now we're not faced with a lot of social situations. A lot of the stuff that we're doing is online. So it's really important that we also address staying safe online, not just now, but in general too, because this is something that people can be vulnerable, whether it be social media, whether it be someone that you meet that you don't know. I know a number of students who have met people online that's their first encounter with that person. And sometimes we don't know what's on the other side of that screen. The important thing is just to remember to stay safe, to take a step back and think about the decisions that you're making online. If you make a mistake or realize that something doesn't seem quite right, remember that you can and you should always talk to a parent or a trusted adult. There's a lot of problems and situations in life that you and your friends can handle, but there's also times when it's really important for you to involve a parent or a trusted adult. Sometimes we get in over our head with things, and it's good to just speak up. It's never too late to speak up about that. Something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Adults we trust can help us navigate when we need to know how to handle a situation that is new to us or when we're feeling overwhelmed. This is how we grow and how we learn. It's okay. You're going to make some choices in life, especially when you're young, that might not be right or might not be the best choice. That's all right. That's normal. That's part of figuring things out. But learning from those and getting advice on things and figuring out next steps, that's how we learn. So some tips for staying safe online. If anyone makes you feel uncomfortable online, tell a parent or trusted adult right away. You start feeling those feelings inside your stomach, okay, something is wrong here. Don't get involved in confrontations via text or social media platforms. Okay, y'all, I've seen a number of you do this. So sometimes we get in this text war, this snap war, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No one's listening to each other anymore when they're having these confrontations. So it's not worth it because neither person is quote unquote winning in this situation. So take that step back. Don't get involved in the confrontation. Go talk to somebody to help you out with this. Because sometimes these things can turn really ugly and sometimes these things can turn threatening as well. Never post personal information. It's kind of surprising how many times I've seen people put information that's easily traceable on their social media. So it's really important to protect your privacy, making sure if you've got an account that's wide open, maybe you need to make that private, or just certain people are looking at that. But don't post where you live, don't post your phone number or how to text you. Make sure you're protecting that information. Never meet in person with someone you've only met on the internet. There's some safety features here. So remember we talked about being with friends and we talked about having someone know where you're at. Don't meet with a person alone. You've only met that person on the internet. They might not be who you think they are. They might have presented themselves differently, or it might even be a setup too. So making sure that you're safe in those situations. Okay, never share your password with anyone, including your friends. Yes, sometimes they're your friends and they're not your friends later. So your password is your password, not everybody's password. I've seen friendships sour, and I've seen friends get into their social media and post horrible stuff, and I've seen them take stuff from somebody else. So make sure your password is protected. Maybe it's time to update it if you've already shared that. Check with your parents before posting pictures of yourself online. Yeah, it's really important to know that once you post something online, it's on the internet forever. So even if, hey, it's just through Snap, or, this is something that's just temporary, or I deleted it, it's still out there on the cloud. It's still housed somewhere. So even though you've deleted it, there's data that's being housed on a server somewhere. Someone can always access that. But I always tell students, use the granny test. If your grandma wouldn't like that photo to see that photo, that's probably a thing that you probably shouldn't be posting online as well. That's out there for all sorts of people to see. And think about the impression that you're giving, not just to people around you, but colleges do search for you too. And they're trying to see what your online presence is. So make that something that is celebrated, that colleges look at you and go, wow, this person has created a really great platform. So yeah, do that granny test. Never post or share inappropriate pictures or comments. Yeah, granny test on that one too. And remember, what you post online doesn't go away. I can't say that enough. You think it does, but it doesn't. So big reasons to tell a parent or trusted adult. So really, honestly, if you're just thinking, should I tell a parent or trusted adult, the answer to that's going to be yes. Because if you're thinking, maybe I should, if you've got doubts in your mind, you probably should. But some big warning signs there. Something just doesn't feel right, doesn't seem right. You trust your intuition on that. It probably isn't right. So tell somebody. You can bounce stuff off of them. If you've been approached or harassed, you need to tell somebody. That's a serious safety situation. If you have concerns for your safety or a friend's safety, absolutely tell somebody. You all are really good at letting us know, especially when it comes to your friends too, about looking out for them, making sure that they're safe. I talked to a number of students who share with me their friends, they're worried about them and in different ways too. That's a really good sign that you are a great friend. That's somebody that you want to have on your side, someone that's going to look out for you. That's a sign of strength. Be cautious of strangers, even if it's a friend or a friend. Maybe that person doesn't know that person so well, and sometimes people hide things about themselves. And again, remember, never share any private information. All that connection that they can try to find you, address, phone number, or even where you go to school. You got to be careful with that too, because sometimes people can find you that way. So if you just met somebody or met somebody online, sometimes they can trace you that way too. So just make sure to protect yourself.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Huber. We're going to talk again briefly on the importance of having a trusted adult in your life that you can go to if you're worried about your safety or a friend's safety. And this goes back to some of the information that Dr. Huber has been sharing about healthy and unhealthy relationships, staying safe online, etc. So if these things listed here, if something like this is coming up in your life or a friend's life, then you want to make sure that you talk to a trusted adult. That could be someone being abused, somebody wanting to hurt themselves, somebody feeling hopeless, depressed, somebody being forced to do something that feels wrong to them, and then of course someone participating in dangerous behaviors that could harm themselves or others. If any of this comes up in your life or a good friend's life, make sure that you seek out help and talk to a trusted adult. So who is a trusted adult? That's going to be different for everybody, but here are some examples. Obviously, hopefully your first resource is going to be your parent or guardian, and they're going to be there for you and they want to help you. Maybe it's somebody else in your family. It could be an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, someone who you can turn to. It could be someone in your community, someone here at the school, a teacher, a coach, an administrator, a counselor, the SAP counselor, psychologist, school resource officer. The school is full of people that you could turn to get help. And we are here for you. We care about you, and we are required by law to if you come to us, to help you with the situation. So make sure if you don't have that trusted adult at home or in your immediate family, that you do make a connection with someone here at the school to help you if you need to report something. Okay, as I mentioned, that teachers and other staff here at the school are required to report things that they learn about. The law states that anyone 18 years or older is a mandated reporter. So if you're aware of something that concerns you and you're 18, then you are required and expected to report it. For example, let's say you went to a party over the weekend and you know a student was sexually assaulted at the party. It is your responsibility to report this if you're over 18. Or for example, you are aware that a student is being physically abused by their parents. If you have knowledge of this, then you should report it if you're over 18. You're required to. If you're not 18, or even if you are 18, you need to let somebody know. You need to let somebody at the school know. You need to let a trusted adult know what you are aware of. So that person who has been abused or neglected can get the help that they need. Okay, here is a list of some important numbers that you can use to get help. Always remember to call 911 if you or a friend is in immediate danger. You can also call your local law enforcement and ask them to do a well check on a friend or a loved one if you feel like they are in danger of being hurt or may hurt themselves or someone else. And here are some other numbers that you can use to reach out for help. The one that I do want to point out is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you yourself are alone and don't have anybody to talk to or a trusted adult, please call that number. There are people trained there to talk to you and help you through your situation until they can get help for you from an adult or someone else to assist you. And just keep that in mind that there's always going to be somebody there to talk with you and help you through the situation that you're in. Okay, here's the list of the counselors in the Student Services Office that are here to help you with a lot of things, but especially if you're dealing with some emotional things. One thing to keep in mind, though, is the counselors don't work in the evening or over the weekend, and often they don't check their email after they leave the school building. Most of the counselors stay here till about 3:30 in the afternoon, but if you send them an email later in the evening, they might not read it. So if there is an emergency that you need help with, don't count on them reading that email. What you would need to do is to use some of the phone numbers that we talked about in the previous slide. And of course, the fallback for any time you need help is 911. The counselors do check their email on a regular basis, but do keep in mind that they often don't look at it or don't know about your situation when they leave the school building.